Hello everyone, welcome to the first career fair preparation for international students. We have Career Services, Student Government Association, International Programming Council, and we will be learning about the new program that Career Services has, that is Interstride. My name is Daniela Cabrera. I am the Pro-Regulation Officer of ISPC and I'm studying Aviation Business Administration. With us, we also have Tommy Liang, a Program Manager for Career Services, and he will be explaining to us how to use Interstride. With us is also Dinushka Pinto, the International Student Senator from the SGA, and Felina Chudu from ISPC. She's the President and she's studying Aerospace Engineering. With us is also the International Student and Scholar Services. We have Anastasia Finn, the Director. We have Judy Samuels and Maya Williams that are Assistant Director. So today's topics are going to be first how to use Interstride and then questions about it. Third, we're going to have a talk with the ISS team about how to apply for CPT and then questions about it. And then fifth, we have the international student panel that are international students that have obtained CPT and where are they now. And then we will have questions for them. Now I am going to pass the control to Tommy so he can teach us more about Interstride.
Sure. Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you all so much for being here tonight, being engaged through Zoom. I really appreciate you all for coming out tonight. So let me share my screen. So just as a premise to please hold off on your questions until after this demo, mainly for the purpose of recording the demo to be uploaded to the Career Services YouTube channel. So once again, Danny did mention I am a program manager for Career Services, Daytona Beach campus. I see all aerospace and engineering students, as well as computational math students and airworthiness master students, engineering students. So right here, let's take you to Interstride. So Interstride is the new one-stop shop platform for international students. You definitely want to get on it. How to access it, you may ask. So to get on there, you could go about in a number of ways. The first one would be through Earning. Once you're on Earning, you would access all tools on the right-hand side, and then you would click the arrow icon, the pink arrow icon, that's how you access Interstride. Another way would be accessing it through Handshake. Handshake is the career management system that us at Career Services uses, and you could use it through, once you log on to Handshake, access Career Center and then resources, and then Interstride should be there for you as an icon, as a box to select. So as you can see, I'm going to drag myself so I don't see myself too much right there. Okay, awesome. Okay, so as you can see, this is the homepage. It's similar to maybe if you have other forms of social media, a Facebook feed, a Twitter feed, a LinkedIn feed. It's very similar to that, where there's going to be pertinent information that you can glance at, articles that you can view as well. As you can see, here's a snapshot of myself. This is my student account, so I set it to myself as Aerospace Engineering, class of graduation 2024. I'm going to take you through many of the tabs. So let's jump through the first one, network. Okay, let it load first. Okay, awesome. So I won't show you the messages, more so just because there is a student I've been in contact with recently, but essentially the messages are where you can direct message any peers, any other friends you may want to start up a connection with, a relationship with. Just, hey, I noticed that you're on Interstride. Do you mind if I connect with you? Do you mind if I follow you? I noticed that your topic, your forum thread was had a great post about maybe searching for internships for XYZ company. It's okay if we connect and network with each other. So that's where you're going to see all the messages. Discover Network, that's essentially where you do find other students, other peers to connect with. Topics is where you follow different class pages, and you could definitely see the threads and the posts for them. So I'll show you the topics just briefly. So as you can see here for my profile, I follow just some topics that I particularly fancy, such as the International Student Association, class of 2024, STEM careers, and the Chinese Student Association. Currently, there aren't any posts for this one, but hopefully there will be some soon in coming weeks. You could also see the number of participants as well. So Interstride, they did create this just as a default group for us, so that way we have a chance to see what's going on as potential topics to follow. Discover topics. This is for if you do want to follow other different kinds of topics out there, for example, class of 21, 22, 23, and if you want to start up a company too, if you want to start up a business, maybe that's your initiative, that's your passion, you want to be an entrepreneur in the future, you definitely follow any of these. Very good. So that's mainly for the networking page. So I'm gonna go on to jobs, which is pretty much gonna be the bulk of your time spent on Interstride, I presume, mainly because it's important for definitely to secure internship, a co-op, or a full-time position as well. So this is definitely, I presume, it's going to be one of the most spent tabs in terms of time for your time here at Interstride. So it's really important that there's keywords you could search by, such as a skill, such as if you want to search by engineer or CATIA or CFD, or if there's communication internship that you want to pursue, you can search for any of that. I select engineer for now. Let's see what that comes up with search. As you can see, there's more than 13,000, almost 14,000 positions, anywhere from Amazon to Micron to CLM Consulting. That's really important. You definitely want, in terms of the filter, you definitely want to select top 500 H1B instead of all companies. Mainly because all companies, it may not show you the companies that are able to hire F1 visa students, the ones who are able to accept CPT, OPT. I did a quick search earlier in the week that, for example, I selected all companies and I typed in SpaceX. SpaceX is generally not able to hire F1 visa students just because of the work that they do. So you want to make sure that you select top 500 H1B companies, the ones that generally give out H1B visas to international talent. That's really important that you select that. And of course, here are some other filters you can search by, such as, for example, if you want to select a particular state, if you want to be in any of these ones, Connecticut, Delaware, that's where you would select that filter. If you want to select the position type, so full-time, internship only, or if you are open to all, that's okay too. It's never too early to get a head start, especially if you're a first year and second year student. You definitely, if you're considering searching all, go ahead and do so. And then date posted anywhere within past 15 days, all the way up until yesterday. Right. Let's move on to job alerts. In case that you do have a particular filters, maybe you have, I'll go with the example I have here. Maybe you want to search for civil engineering positions in Canada. You could definitely save that. So going back to jobs, I will not show that right now just for the purposes of the time for the demo. But once you do select your filters and then you search, there should be a button near the bottom that you can save that search. And then it shows up here as a job alert. So I'm going to select this filter, and it's already selected actually because there's a check mark. And you can see the different civil engineering positions within Canada as well. Let's see. Good, awesome. So for some reason, it's also showing other positions as well, Kentucky, New York as well. But yeah, hopefully that should definitely be tailored and fixed for you pretty soon. I'm going to move on to US Visa Insights. So this one is also pretty useful as well, mainly because you're able to see which companies have put out petitions for H-1Bs, green cards even, CPTs, OPT, and STEM OPT too. So you're able to definitely search that within the past 3 or 4 years, let's see, since 2017. So if you're looking for something before 2017, unfortunately, the Interstride doesn't have that information, doesn't have that data. Maybe they'll have it in the future, but it only goes back as far as 2017. Okay. So when it comes to the Learning tab, there's different webinars that you can search up. So I'll show you what that looks like. There's a lot. Every pretty much almost every day, if not every week, on a month-by-month basis. As you can see, if you ever want to learn more information about visa and immigration Q&A, there's a small description, there's a time frame. Do also take note uh, of the time zone. For example, this one is in Pacific Standard Time. So for those on the East Coast, if we take this, this is actually 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So just take into account the time zone. So there's a topic for a job search for international students. Don't worry about this. This is mainly for us who have administrative control of Interstride. 3 ways to immigrate to Canada. Great. If you want to find a position in Canada, if you want to start your life there, that's good too. But yeah, you could definitely register for any one of these as long as you are available. Very good. Resources. Hopefully this loads. Very good. This is also a very useful page as well. Everything on Interstride is pretty much useful, and there's a wealth of information on every page. But in case that you do have more, you want to know more information about, for example, the CPT, OPT, and also the STEM OPT extension, you just want to look up some government websites, some external websites relating to that, you could definitely visit any of these too. I will not click any of these just for the purpose of this webinar, but you're definitely able to visit for example, the USCIS website. If you want to learn more about the STEM OPT extension, what qualifies, what is that about? And I'll just show you some of the other tabs too. Networking, how to really talk to employers in the US or in other countries as well. And US economy, in case you're interested in just the Bureau of Labor Statistics, what are the unemployment rates for different states, the occupational outlook for different years from 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021. It shows the salary increases per year, the percentage change as well. So definitely please take your time to look through any one of these tabs on your own time. There's a wealth of information. There's a wealth of knowledge to be gained from any of these. Student service. Very good. So as you can see here, in case you're wondering about how to apply for a credit card, maybe you have questions about how to start your own business, start your own company, you can definitely do so, how to file taxes, get insurance, driver's licenses as well. This page also has a lot of useful information for you all in case that maybe, yeah, you want to open up a bank account. Maybe you want to apply for a credit card somehow. Maybe you are looking for more information about internships. So definitely, please click around. The Interstride uses great color coding, and just if you want to favorite it, if you want to star it as well, it definitely saves it for you. So country insights as well. You're going to have access to nearly 200 countries worth of information in terms of their population counts, their GDP per capita, the growth, just a brief overview about the country in general. Quick links as well. You're going to see these links for every country out there, as long as Interstride has it. Almost every country, I hope, at least. You get to see the immigration rules and regulations. If there's any facts you need to know, cost of living in general, how to network, of course, the CDC for different countries, how to get around, how to travel in said country, what's the culture like, what's the lifestyle of the people living there like, the population. So definitely please look around this page as well, the country insights. We're almost done. So the tools section. Okay, career game plan. There we go. I wish my internet was a little bit faster. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I've already taken this test, but definitely I'll show you what it looks like. So you definitely, if you have time to take a 16-question quiz, it's going to ask you questions such as, well, as you can see here, which country did you grow up? And select that answer. There are other questions such as, what other languages do you know? How familiar are you with the culture of said country or said countries? Did you know about how to network in said country? It's essentially it's a cultural quiz in a sense to really test and assess your knowledge of said country or countries. So I'm not gonna pick it again, but I'll show you what that looks like for my results. I'm definitely open to sharing. So in terms of, well, I just as a disclaimer, I kind of went through this. I didn't go through every question and answered uh, to the best of my abilities, but as you can see, just my knowledge breakdown of each one in terms of professional experience. This is how well I know about the job search, the internship preparation for said country, how much I know about the culture of said company, of said country, communication style as well, networking. How familiar am I with the networking processes in said country or said companies? Very good. Checklist. So this one is just to really hold you accountable. So maybe you are interested in the job search, but you just don't know where to start. You're thinking to yourself, maybe it's so overwhelming. Interstride, there's a lot of buttons, there's a lot of pages. Where can I get started? Okay, so tools is definitely a tab that can assist you with that. So in terms of the job search, all right, so maybe you are interested in a target industry or just choosing one to begin with. Just have that as a to-do list. All right, so maybe, very good. So once you do choose that category, it actually checks it off for you. All right, so once you do that, but of course, if that hasn't been happening yet, if you haven't done that, you definitely want to uncheck that. But of course, when you do complete that task or checklist item, you definitely want to check it off. I don't know about everyone else on the Zoom call, but definitely when I complete a task on my to-do list, I definitely feel really good, really gratified. You can also add subtasks too. So for example, maybe you want to be more specific. Maybe you want to add a timeline. Okay, I have to start choosing a target industry by next week, by next month. I need to talk to XYZ person. I need to go on this resource. I need to go on Interstride even. You could definitely do that too. And if you feel that maybe you've taken a look at every one of these tasks for the job search, but there is something that's missing. Maybe, I'll just make this up. Maybe you need to contact your family members. That could be something. So then you could definitely add that as a new task. Interview, of course, it's going to show different options. Right, here we go. Read the most recent news about the company, doing your homework. Schedule mock interviews with your career services center. Great. Practice delivering the responses out loud. Long distance job search. It's going to take a second to load. Here we go. Create a target list of companies. Research your companies. Negotiation. Think about the base compensation. Doing some research about this company and respective companies like it, comparing it to other ones with similar position titles, your start date, your signing bonus, vacation days. And we're almost there, I promise. Notifications is the last portion I'm going to show you. So here it's definitely important to see your notifications. So that way you have pings, you have notices about what you need to check up on. Maybe you got a message. Maybe some employer replied back to your internship application or job application. You definitely have the option to turn on notifications or turn them off as well. So let's say I don't have too many right now, but I only have 2, of course. But you could also filter by different notifications too. Maybe you want to look at only the webinars you sign up for. Maybe you only want to look at the calendar that you have on here. Maybe you want to follow only the topics as well. You could definitely set notifications for any of those. And that is it. That's it for an Interstride demo. This is the part where the recording stops, of course. Well, it's going to be edited out, but any questions?
Is there anyone here with questions for Tommy?
we'll give it a few seconds. You can feel free to type your question into the chat as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hello. Is there like any recommended companies like for internationals in general we should like focus on while applying?
Yeah, so I wish I could give a more specific response, so I apologize for that. But it really does depend on your degree field. It depends on your major. It depends on the industry. So I can only speak on behalf of my aerospace engineering students and some of my math students as well. And I'll name drop some companies. But in terms of, for example, co-ops, internships, Delta Airlines has a really great, robust 3-semester co-op rotational program. Cummins Aerospace as well is international student friendly for co-ops as well as full-time opportunities. You're definitely going to hear more from the panel as well at the end. There's about 12 students represented on the panel where they can showcase all their companies, all of their locations, their position titles as well. So that way, that's already at least 10 to 12 different companies that are represented. But I'm sorry, I wish I could give a more specific response, but it does depend on the major, depend on what you're studying.
Okay. So do you know who else?
I definitely recommend Interstride.
What is it?
Sorry, I just recommend Interstride, where I was showing you all the jobs portal. You're able to filter by the top 500 H-1B companies from 2017. So that should already be a good list. That had at least 100, sorry, not 100, at least almost 14,000 positions.
Okay, nice. Well, thank you. Thanks.
My pleasure, thank you.
We have one question in the chat from Dylan.
Great, Dylan, welcome, glad you're here. So you actually already have access to Interstride. It's accessible through Ernie, all tools, Interstride. So you could definitely access it right now, start up your account. You could go to, or you could also go to student.interstride.com. I'll also type that into the chat after my response, and you could access it through your browser and type in your EMBRY-RIDDLE credentials, and that's how you access it. So that's the second way, as well as the third way would be going on Handshake. Handshake, Career Center, and then Resources, and then Interstride. Awesome. You're welcome, Dylan.
All right, so we will be introducing Anastasia. She is the Director of International Student Services. With us is also Judy Samuels and Mara Williams, who are part also of the ISSS team.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to try to give a very brief overview of CPT, because if I were to do an actual CPT training, it would take us much longer. So I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as possible. As Fanila said in the beginning, you can send email questions in the chat box. Judy and Myra will get to them if they can. Otherwise, we're happy to answer them outside of this session through email or calling the ISSS office. So I'm trying to explain what CPT is. We say CPT, what does it stand for? Curricular Practical Training, and it's typically a temporary off-campus employment authorization that should be an integral part of an established curriculum. So in as much as CPT is seen as work authorization off-campus, it is your curriculum rather than your need for updating your resume or making extra money to meet your financial needs. Your curriculum should be the drive for CPT. It should be directly related to your major area of study. And if it's granted, the ISSS office will always be seeking for the curriculum or academic objective rather than it's a good opportunity and I want to do it. So it's one of the things that you want to have at the back of your mind as you access Interstride and access all these opportunities that it has in there, okay? As Tommy said, we do have students that engage in co-op. So co-op is one of the ways you can apply for CPT. It could be an internship, co-op, an alternative work study, or other types of practicum. So far as it's directly related to your degree, it must be either required for your, and this is why I actually want to explain this portion, because students tend to misconstrue what it is. It's either it's required for your degree. When CPT as a training is required for your degree, it means that, to explain it the easiest way, every student in that program must complete a training to graduate, and you don't have to get credit back. As far as we know, no program at Embry-Riddle requires that. And therefore, for international students, you do have the option of completing practical training. And the way I explain it is, while your friends are in the classroom taking the normal courses towards degree completion, you're off in the field also taking practical training that you're getting credits back to count towards your degree for. So and again, in pursuing or looking for opportunities, have this at the back of your mind, that if you are pursuing CPT as an option, there always has to be an academic objective or curricular objective where you're getting credit back. And then who's eligible? I see a lot of you on the call right now, but to be eligible for CPT, you must have completed a fall and a spring semester. That constitutes an academic year for immigration purposes. Now, if you've been here in the past and you left the US for varying reasons and there was a break where you received a newer I-20 with a different CVIS number and you came back and completed, say, just a fall, you're not eligible. If you just completed OPT and began a new degree, we see that as a break, and therefore you're not eligible. However, if you completed, say, a bachelor's degree this past fall, and in the spring you're beginning another degree or a master's degree, for instance, still at Embry-Riddle, we will consider that those past semesters and count those towards your eligibility for CPT. So have that in mind before you start looking for opportunities, and count your eligibility or make sure you're eligible to apply for CPT in the semester that you want to apply for. And also you should be in academic, good academic standing. So your F1 status should be active in order for you to be eligible for OPT. Full-time CPT, typically if you were approved for full-time CPT where somehow you were able to get to the 12-month mark, then you will not be eligible for OPT. We would also consider transfer students, as far as there's no break, and count those previous semesters, even at a different school, towards their eligibility for CPT. So who's eligible? Again, you must demonstrate that CPT is an integral part of your degree. I'm stressing this because it's one of the main things that students struggle with. I know the opportunity is great, and having it as a resume builder is good. It is. It's supposed to be the additional reason why. So in searching for this position, please make sure that you're searching for positions that you can actually apply for CPT or even OPT on. OPT 2, that's required direct relation between the employment and the degree that you've graduated from. Graduate students can apply for CPT in their first 2 semesters of the program. So let's say in the first semester actually, so if you started a master's program and somehow that degree requires immediate participation in CPT, then you can't start as soon as you started your graduate degree. Okay, so length of CPT authorization. For us, it's specific to the semester. There are several times that career services will tell us a student has a 6-month opportunity. For us, it means nothing. We would only authorize CPT for specific semesters. So if you have the CPT opportunity for a fall, the duration will fall within those semesters. If it's for a spring, still will fall within those semesters. And if it's for summer, it will fall within those semesters. So we will not necessarily process CPTs for 6 months because the student has the offer for that length of time. We would only review CPT for each specific semester that a student has the opportunity for. So if you wish to continue your internship the following semester, you must go through the process again. You must submit the application, the verification, the letter referencing those durations. And we've had a lot of times where students would submit letters referencing the 6 months duration, and somehow they believe it covers the entire CPT. We would only, again, process CPT for specific semesters, and therefore, if your opportunity right off the bat was even given for 6 months, we still expect the letters to reflect the durations for which semester you're being approved for. So we would usually tell students to contact their employer, whomever they're working with, their contact at that company, to make sure they get letters that reflect each semester. So in talking to employers, please explain these things to them. I always tell students that when you explain what it is that you're eligible for, usually they're happy to meet your needs. When you can start, when you can end, if there should be a break before you start again. If you explain these things to them, then we're not going back and forth and dragging the application process longer than it should take. Because typically, reviewing a CPT application and issuing the I-20 would literally take minutes for me to do, at least. And I could say the same for my colleagues in the ISS office. The process of reviewing and issuing is a non-issue, and it's a fast process actually, but usually the back and forth, because students are just not giving us what we want, is what takes time. And then again, as I said, CPT authorization cannot overlap semesters. We would only authorize it for each specific semester that you're applying for. Final semester CPT, a student's CPT cannot go beyond the term that you're graduating. So if you're doing, for students that are doing their CPTs for this term, all their authorizations will end as of May 10th. If you need to continue on, then you would have to apply for OPT. And you must always wait for an approval from your DSO before you begin your internship. You must have the I-20 in your hands before you begin. A day before will constitute an unauthorized employment, and if any DSO knew, we could terminate your CVIS record for this. Part-time versus full-time CPT. So luckily at Embry-Riddle, we do approve both. And I'm saying luckily because we're one of the very few schools that do this. Most of you don't know this, and somehow even the fact that we approve full-time semesters have students struggling. It's a longer process. It's too cumbersome. Most schools don't approve full-time CPT, at least not for a fall or a spring semester. You can ask your colleagues in schools in Florida, Georgia, wherever. They're not approved for full-time CPT during when school is in session. They're only approved for it when school is out of session, because some schools are more conservative when it comes to interpreting what the guidance says. We tend to be more on the liberal side and allow students to do full-time. If we went that route of most students, all your Delta co-ops, your rotations will not happen. So trust me when we say we try to be as liberal as we can and try to give students, international students, the opportunities to engage in internships here in the US before at least they start OPT or STEM OPT. So part-time would be anything between 20 hours or below, and then full-time would be 20 hours or above. That is what we consider when it comes to CPT. There are times where students would do fewer hours in the career services aspect, and then we're having to juggle around and do the credits and whatnot. But for us, if you come to me and you say you're doing a part-time CPT, I expect you to be working fewer than the 20 hours per week. And then what we do is it can be done for part-time CPT, it can be unlimited. You can do it as many times as you're allowed to, so far as you're getting credit back. I cannot reiterate that fact enough. Just because it's part-time does not mean you get to use it as some off-campus authorization. And when it comes to CPT, SCVP, USCIS, it's one of the things that they use to actually penalize students in the future. So trust me when I say, when you think the ISS office scrutinizes too much or we're denying these offers, we're not doing it for fun. We're doing it because you haven't met the criteria to be eligible for CPT. USCIS, DHS has engaged in several stints using CPT to close down schools, to terminate students' record. They would actually set up stings and bait students to pay to do CPT. Yes, they've done it several times, where they would set up a school and then the bait would be, as soon as you enroll in that school, you get what they call day one CPT. every student that enrolled was terminated and was subject to deportation, and the school was closed down. So please take CPT seriously, and please work with our office so we can make sure you're in compliance, is what I want to reiterate. Again, part-time CPT is typically 20 hours. Full-time is typically 20 hours or more. The requirements of the degree, it must be explicitly stated in the catalog. We actually worked this past week trying to see what each program says in the catalog, how many credits they're allowed in for internships, and we're going to be using it strictly for internship for summer moving forward. So if we're denying you, it's because the catalog says you can't do it for extra credits. So if you're working with your academic advisor, even before you start, you can start looking for opportunities, but always work with your academic advisor as well. These are the two stakeholders that we work closely with: career services and academics. Because career services would establish that cooperative agreement that immigration requires. So immigration says that there should be a cooperative agreement between the school and the company before the student engages in the training. Career services helps us to do that by those contracts that you sign. And then you should establish an academic objective. Your academic advisor will help us establish that. And then we come in, join those two aspects, and then with our immigration lenses on, tell you that you're eligible. So all these facets have to come in play before you're approved. I'm going to be real quick before I run out of time. CPT in the last semester. It can be approved, but upon review from the ISS's office. Case by case is what we do this. It's not something that we tend to approve often, but we're open to review it. What we would typically tell students to take care of is to show your last semester internship is it's curricular in nature, and not just intentionally use it to begin an OPT. So you got an opportunity and it starts before you graduate. So you're thinking, okay, let me do CPT so I can continue on and apply for OPT when I graduate. That shouldn't be the drive for it. So if we see and we're established that fact, then we're likely to deny your CPT in the last semester. Online classes while you're in CPT. We've had several instances where students are approved for CPT. We go back to do a review and batch, and then we see they're enrolled in an online class. You must always, this semester we excuse students that did this, but moving forward, please know that if you're approved for full-time CPT, the ISS's office must approve you before you're able to take one class online. If you're approved for part-time CPT, you're required to enroll in a full course load anyway, so that would not even apply. But this is typically full-time enrollment for CPT during the fall or the spring semester. Always check with your DSO before you enroll in an online class. So this is the CPT process in a nutshell. First, you do a verification through TDS in the ISS's office. You collect all your documents. We're talking CPT application, offer letter. You register for the CPT class. Usually, if you have any questions, we have an FAQ site in TDS which can answer all your questions. If that does not satisfy the questions you have, always send an email to DBISS and and tell us what your questions are, and we're happy to answer. If you have no questions, then you actually proceed to submit your application online, and all our process requests have a 5 to 7 business day turnaround. The sooner you submit with no errors, the quicker we're able to process it and get it back to you. As I said, the processing or the act of reviewing and issuing the I-20 does not take time. It's a process of going back and forth and having students correct the documents that they give to us. If I have time quickly, I will go over how to apply, what the steps are for you. It's all through TDS, which is through the ERNI account. So you use your ERNI account to log in. All 3 campuses use TDS. You select the Daytona Beach campus. It's gonna ask you, once you select the Daytona Beach campus, this would come up with all the services we have. You can hit employment authorization. Employment authorization is gonna give you all the options: CPT, OPT, STEM OPT, reporting, and what have you. You select curricular practical training. And then this is the first step, verification, where I say we're going to try to verify if you've been here an academic year or not. It's going to ask for your any password and username. It's the same or any password that you use to log into your email. Once you log in, it's going to ask you to put your name, your first name, your last name, and then you would get an automatic email from from ISSS that your verification goes through. Career Services also receives that same email. I should have done this from the beginning. Sorry. I realized I didn't do that. Sorry, apologies. Try to do this so I can see. Unfortunately, I couldn't see since it was smaller. Okay, there you go. Okay, so once you get this and you confirm okay, you would see something like this. We had to actually, the way we set up the CPT, we're not able to go in, so we had to have a colleague go in so we can show you what you would actually see. So you would get this, your name, your online registration has been successfully submitted, etc., etc. This is where students usually would do this correctly or incorrectly. If you do it correctly, you would see you select the little house, the username, and then you select, this one says initial I-20 request. That's what we try to do, but you should select what says curricular practical training. So the blue link that says curricular practical training. Once you do that, it's a lot of things that we would ask you to do. The signature documents, make sure you click on the link and check the completed button. The questionnaires you have to complete. The request for recommendation is also an important part. That's when your academic advisor will come in and actually tell us if you're eligible or not. It goes electronically to them. So once you hit, you insert the name. If you know the first and last name, you can put it there. If not, once you start searching, there's a search bar that will generate, and then you select whomever your academic advisor is. And then you upload the documents that we require over here. Do not forget to hit the submit button. Because what's going to happen is if you don't hit the submit button, it goes into pending status. Judy will not see you to process it. Maya will not see you to process it. If you don't hit the submit button, and that's what students always do, we send an email and say, I submitted it so-and-so and go, I haven't received a response. You never did, it's in pending status, and therefore none of us saw it in the office to be able to review it for processing. So this is what the recommendation would look like. So say we use Dr. Atia, for example. If Dr. Atia is your advisor, once you start typing his name, you can use the set button and then it will generate him you select. If not, and you know his first and last name, email, and phone number, you can manually submit that as well and then hit add user. Once you do that, it's gonna generate his name, email, you hit next and save. Once you do this, Dr. Atia would electronically get an email that says, so-and-so is trying to send you a recommendation. Please fill it out and let us know. If you send it to the wrong person, we've had students send it to myself or Judy or Myra. We're not your advisors, academically at least. So please send it to your academic advisor, not your international student advisor. How soon or when should you apply? We're adhering to these dates strictly, so please take note in your search for internship and then when you actually start to apply. For the summer term, we would approve students to start CPT on or after May 17th, and your training can end on or before August 27th, not a day after. So what it means is we will not approve a student that comes with an offer letter that says the start date is May 12th or May 13th. And we will not approve a student that comes with an offer letter that has an end date of August 30th. These are the dates we've approved, and these are the dates we would only approve CPT for. So in your searches and talking to your supervisors at these companies, please let them know these dates. May 17th, on or after that, and August 27th, on or before that. Our application review will begin March 22nd. So as of March 22nd, the ISS's office will start accepting CPT applications. Just make sure you have everything, offer letter, contract from Career Services, you've been enrolled in the CPT class, and then we can review it. If any portions of these are missing, we cannot move forward. Our application deadline will be June 18th. So after June 18th, we will not process summer CPTs. So please take a screenshot of these dates and adhere to them strictly. Anything outside of that, the ISS office will not process. We've had issues. I think one of the main issues we have with CPT is always the offer letter, where it says too little or it doesn't specify most of the information that we need. We need to have your name, your job title. Your job title could be as simple as student intern, engineer intern, whatever you're doing intern, or they can stick with student intern. The company name and the address where you'll be physically working. Thankfully, based on the current SCVP guidance, because of COVID, you are allowed to remotely work for while you're in CPT. Just make sure it says that on the letter as well, so we can reference that in comments while we're issuing your CPT I-20. We would put the physical address, but in the comments, we'll reference that you're working remotely from wherever you happen to be. The work hours per week, very important. We need to know how many hours you work, because that would determine if it's full-time or part-time. And then a brief description of what you're going to be doing. We don't need to understand the technicalities, but just a brief description. Any parts of this that's omitted, we will send the letter back to you. And that's what always happens, because employers have different standards for issuing offer letters. But if you tell them this is what you need, they're always, almost always will provide those information for you. We would prefer the letter where you've scanned it in, but we would accept a copy of the letter or even an email where it references all these from the company, of course. These are a few FAQs that we would typically get from students, and so I decided to put it together. Whether you needed a job to apply for CPT, unlike OPT, yes, you must have an offer of employment before you would apply. And if you can change your hours while you're in OPT, you could, your CPT, yes. So depending on whether it's full or part-time, if let's say you're full-time and then you needed more hours to go part-time, we could do that, and vice versa. Whether or not you could change employers while you're in OPT, since CPT is employer specific, you must apply for a new CPT authorization before you can start work. So we couldn't just say, okay, tell us you're working for Rockwell Collins, and then all of a sudden after 2 weeks it's not programming. We couldn't just go into CVS and just do that switch. We would have to do the whole process again, end the CPT for Rockwell Collins, and then begin the process to accept you for Northrop Grumman, for instance. These are other questions that we get, whether you need a Social Security. You do. You would need a Social Security number to receive payment from your employer. When it comes to taxes, I know some of you have already received email from Caroline Day about taxes, and this is a brief information of taxes while you're on CPT or an OPT. But if you have any questions, feel free to email her at dayc4@erau.edu. She'll be happy to answer all the tax questions that you have. And whether you receive an EAD, the answer is no. For CPT, your proof of employment is the I-20 that we issue you together with your I-94 record. You can use these two documents to complete your I-9 through your employer. And so this is a brief overview of CPT. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Anastasia. And thank you, Julia, Mara, for everything. Thank you, Tommy, for answering all the questions. If you guys have any questions for Anastasia for ISSS or Curtis Services, you guys can put it on the chat, and we will get to them either via email or we can answer it to the best of our ability right now. We will be moving on to the internship panel. So these are people, international students who've gotten internships so far. They can be students right now or alumni. We can go ahead and start with Lilian.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Lilian Nganga, and I am from Kenya. I started in EMBRY-RIDDLE in 2015, and I graduated in 2019 with my aerospace engineering degree. So currently I'm working at Collins Aerospace, and I started working last year, March. So a little bit about my journey as an international student at Rideau. On my first day of orientation, I did not have a housing room because I didn't know we needed to register in advance. So that was a bit of a rocky start. I had not taken my placement exams, you know, the math and the English class that you have to take. So I had to take them on the first day. So there are a couple of things that I wasn't aware of, but you know, I adjusted and I started to learn how the process works in America. The grading system, I didn't know what a 4.0 was, but I managed to get through all that with friends that I made throughout the 5 years that I was there. So I also interned with Delta Airlines. I did a spring semester, a summer, and another spring semester. So 3 rotations. I worked at the department known as liaison engineering. So that was a really good experience because we were writing repair instructions for maintenance for mainly aircrafts that were on the line. So these are aircrafts that were at the gate. So they were about to leave like in an hour or so. So it was a very high pressure environment, you know, because the maintenance personnel calls you, your managers are calling and they're all asking, why is the aircraft still on the ground? What is engineering doing? So I learned how to work under pressure as well as collaborate with the other engineers that I had to work with to come up with a proper repair, you know, communicate with maintenance, understand all the terminologies and the acronyms that people use in the airline industry. The other big advantage of interning with an airline is that you get to travel. So I got to go to so many different countries and experience other people's culture. So that was really amazing. So if you like to travel, intern with an airline, that's a tip. And I think a few things that I would say that helped me acquire the job with Collins as well as with Delta Airlines is one, diversifying my resume. So I know a lot of us have projects, you know, from like Katia, from MATLAB. I try to do things outside those projects. So meaning like, you know, do projects outside class. So like maybe do research or join projects that are, you know, that are being done by other clubs on campus. So maybe like the drone clubs on campus. So I think that really helped me. Another thing also is going for conferences. So both of my jobs, I got them from conferences. For Collins, I got it from the career fair on campus. And then for Delta, I got it from Nesby. So I know now it's kind of hard with COVID, but you know, if there's any opportunity, even if it's virtual, I'd highly recommend that. And the last one also is being active on campus. So I was involved with the student government. I was also a resident advisor. I was a part of other engineering clubs as well as some social clubs such as the African Association. And I feel all throughout all those experiences, I gained leadership skills that helped me a lot, especially during the interviews, because they'll ask questions like, you know, oh, for example, if you have a team member and they're not working, how do you respond? So I'd already experienced those situations. It was very easy for me to respond, and I think it also showed employers that I could, you know, manage time between classes and still do all of that and also be a good leader. So definitely being involved on campus is a tip I'd highly recommend. And lastly, something I think I wish I knew before interning was the fact that even as you go in as an intern or even as a full-time person, you know, you kind of go in and you kind of sometimes get scared to ask questions because you assume that the people around you expect you to know everything. So I feel like in my first semester at Delta, I kind of struggled because I was like, oh, I don't want to ask, you know, how the slat works because these people expect me to know. I'm doing aerospace engineering. How do I not know that, right? But really, they don't, and you need to be comfortable enough to ask the questions to grow. And as of my second semester, I realized that, you know, they are very easygoing, and whenever I had questions, they'd answer. So I'd say I wish I knew that, you know, that they don't expect me to know everything. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say. Thank you, Felina.
Thank you so much, Lilian. I'm so glad to have you. Next, we'll do Ramon.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Ramon Howe. I come from Trinidad and Tobago. I started at EMBRY-RIDDLE in 2015 fall as well, doing aerospace engineering, and I graduated in 2019 fall. A little bit about myself. I guess with my international journey coming to Riddle, I also did not pick a room as well as Lilian. I didn't know that you had to do that. So that was something I found out while I got here. I guess throughout my time at Riddle, I was I guess, what was the position? I was treasurer for the Caribbean Students Association, and I was involved in NESB also, and as well as ASA. Let's see here. Um, so my internship, I got my internship when I went to NESB. Um, I had applied to many companies before, prior to NESB, and then I got there, and I just kept on trying different companies, not knowing what the result would be basically. But luckily enough, I managed to impress a manager at Collins Aerospace. That time it was Rockwell Collins. And he took me on, gave me an informal interview, which was actually really lucky. And I managed to get a position through that. So for that intern, it was a co-op. So for that co-op, I worked on a Chinese aircraft called ARJ-21, doing systems engineering. I mainly focused on the ICAS display. So they had a lot of changes rolled out during my time there in the ICAS subsystem. So I had to design automatic test procedures, ATPs, for that ICAS display, testing the different messages and synoptic pages. What was the other topic? Something I wish I knew before starting. I wish I knew what my career path was. I managed to get hired on full-time because I was a co-op with the same team right now. So I'm still doing systems engineering with Collins Aerospace. But my role has broadened more. So currently right now, I am the rig integrator. So I'm responsible for making sure that the rig is conformed before any round of testing. And I'm also the ICAS focal for the systems team. So I have to be knowledgeable of everything that happens with the ICAS domain. But not knowing my career path, which is kind of a challenge that I'm going through right now, because every day me and my manager talk about it ever so often. I'm not sure if I want to go into management, if I want to do a master's, do something more technical. That's something I've yet to figure out. And I think that's something that some people overlook. Yes, you want to get the job, but I mean, what happens after that, you don't know. Um, I'd say for international students, any advice I can give, you really, it's not pretty. You really got to struggle. Well, at least from my experience. But as long as you show the determination, as Lilian said, you try to make a resume look very stellar. We have an uphill battle as international students, and just try to make yourself open for any opportunities that may arrive. So that's a little bit about myself.
Thank you so much, Ramon. We can go to Soumedh now.
We have a question in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
From Pedro. Sir, somebody answers that. Does Collins still hire international full-time anymore? They have a disclaimer in job page that they don't last time I checked. Do they hire international students anymore full-time?
Lilian, you should take this one because you got hired while they were posting that.
Yeah, I was scared of that too because in 2019 was when I think they had actually just done the merger around that time, or 2020. Yeah, so I was scared too, but actually they still do hire. Collins Aerospace still does hire. Maybe, Pratt and Whitney and Rivian may not, but Collins still does hire. It just depends on the department. Some departments will not based on the work that they do, but some departments will. So once you go on to like the virtual career fair, because you're not, you don't know who you're gonna meet, make sure you let them know that you're international and ask if their department hires. And if not, ask them to probably forward your resume to a department that hires, or maybe put you in connection with a different department whose manager is within that virtual conference that you can talk to. Yeah.
Thank you. Soumedh, you can go now.
Hi guys, my name is Soumedh, and I was a mechanical engineering student at EMBRY-RIDDLE. I started in the fall 2016, and I finished in 2020 fall as well. And actually, like, my journey was really inspired by Lilian's journey. I think I followed her footsteps quite closely. She was one of my best friends in when I joined school. So the one thing I learned while I was on my journey, I was like, okay, we need to, as international students, it's always a uphill battle. Like honestly, like you sometimes you might do everything and even not end up with an internship. But I think that like the struggle is worth it, because every struggle is worth it, because every single like the experience that you get like really diversifies who you are as a person. And sometimes, like in my case, I want to say, like it also shows you what you really want to do in life. For example, I actually like did my internship in cabin maintenance engineering, and I did at Delta Airlines. I used to design avionics repairs and electrical systems repairs, even though I was a mechanical engineer, and everything to do with inside the cabin. I actually had a chance of designing and prolonging the life of a galley on the 767, and I have some of my modifications that I did as an intern are still flying on the Delta aircraft. So that's something to be proud of. When I was there, I learned how to talk to many people. Like as Lilian said, things are very different when you go on an internship. It's not like school. Everyone is more professional. The way you talk to people is much different. But even there, you should get involved and again diversify your experience. And I have a funny story actually of how I got my internship. So I was in one of my professor's office. I think this was during junior year. And I was like, yeah, I can't get an internship. It's just like, it's so hard for international students. Like, and then he told me that, okay, I'm really busy today. Can you come tomorrow? So I said, okay, I'll come tomorrow. I had nothing to do anyway. So I went the next day, and I saw a Delta recruiter just sitting at his office, and he asked me, did you bring your resume? And I said, oh, I don't have my resume. So I ran to my car, I got my resume and came, and that's where I got the job. This was a day before the career fair at school. So I want to give you guys a tip and say that your professors are a great resource. Go to them, know them, and then just interact with them, because they have past students who are recruiters now at different companies. So if you see them like talk about their students and stuff, and like these students will actually help you get jobs. And another strong advice I would like to give you guys is, like, even if you go to a career fair and you don't get a job, and let's say you get an interview, go and do the interview and get contact information of these interviewers. Because I remember when I applied for Delta Airlines, I actually sent an email to the recruiters the day before they came here. That's because I had actually had a previous interview at Nesby. And also all the opportunities that we have here, like we have the Society of Hispanic Engineers, we have National Society of Black Engineers. So I think you should take advantage of all of them. And most of these engineering organizations usually sponsor a free conference session. So definitely recommend that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Soumedh. We can move on to Sofia now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sofia. So I'm currently a senior in electrical engineering. I'm still in Embry-Riddle. I'm a resident advisor also. So this is my room in phase 1. I'm still here. And my path is definitely much different than everybody else, I would say. Just like Soumedh, at the beginning of last spring, I was kind of so bummed that I was like, oh my God, I'm almost in my senior year. I didn't get an internship, and then COVID hit, and I started sending all of these depressive emails to my professor saying that like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This is so bad. I don't know what's happening. And I genuinely felt not ready to graduate, pretty much. That was what was going on. I genuinely felt like if I graduate today and they give me a job, I can't do it. So I work for the Center for Entrepreneurship here with a professor called Dr. Bowers. God bless this man, because I sent him an email and we jumped on a Zoom call and he started talking to me about like, okay, what do you want to do? What are you interested into? Would you mind relocating? Would you mind doing all of these things? And then in EMBRY-RIDDLE, he hosts this competition called Launch Your Venture, where people come and they pitch their idea, and you can win like $10,000 in funding for your company so that you can start a company. And someone participated to that competition 5 years ago, and they currently have a startup that my boss helped him start, basically. And so that startup somehow is like very related to what I wanted to do as a career. So he connected me with the people that are working there, and they kind of gave me an interview. I was still quarantined in New York. It was something that I did like in the middle of like the living room, making sure that my sister wasn't like screaming in the background. It was terrible. And the interview, to be quite honest, I got it thanks to research that I've been doing here. The thing is that my interview really didn't go as well as I expected, to be quite honest. It was much more technical questions than I was ready for. And I kind of like, I don't think that I bombed it, but it was like, oh, definitely I didn't get that. You know what I mean? And so after the thing, I was like, damn, but I mean, it's COVID. Not a lot of people can get jobs right now, and at least they gave me an interview. So I'm just so grateful that they just gave me an interview, because it means that I can do it. So I sent them an email and I was like, just thank you for the opportunity. Just thank you for like taking your time, talking to me. Maybe I wasn't great, maybe I don't know everything, but I'm still learning, you know, I'm still an undergrad, and the thing is that what they do in the company is what I'm taking right now in class, like in my senior year. So I didn't even take the class. I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew the softwares and I was interested into it because I went to conferences, I talked to professors, I did research, and I did the previous work. And after they hired me, they sent me the offer letter. The CEO sent me an email saying that what ticked the balance was that email of like, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for just giving you your time. Because everybody that I was working with was PhD and above. He was really against getting any undergraduate students because they're still a startup and it's mainly research that they're doing. It's mainly testing that we're doing and all of these things. So the whole summer, I had to relocate, so I came back to Daytona. And the whole summer, I designed sensors and antennas for high temperature gas turbines. And so when you're in a small team of like 10 people, I was the only female, I was the only undergrad, and it was just like PhD students that have been doing this for like 10 years. You get to touch everything in a startup. So I got to like do the sensors, I got to do the design, I got to do the simulations, I got to do like to actual build things. I was like sewing freaking sheets of metals by myself in a warehouse. Like it was so interesting. I really got to get everything into one, and I didn't even know what was happening at the beginning, you know? And currently the way my internship it really had a big impact on me, because before in my electrical engineering degree, I was kind of like, oh, maybe I want to do circuits, maybe I want to do DSP, maybe I want to do all of these things. But after the internship, I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I want to do radio frequencies, I want to do RF, I want to do microwaves and stuff like that. And everybody around me had a PhD. So I was like, well, I guess that's the next step. So now I'm currently, I just got an offer from the University of Colorado to go do research there for the summer. And I'm applying for their PhD program that hopefully I will start in January. So just from the internship, I decided to go for my PhD. So you really never know where your career is going. You really have no idea. I thought, okay, I want to like graduate and then work because I'm tired of school. But now I'm like, okay, maybe school, why not? It's 5 more years. So yeah, that's everything I have. One thing.
More years, why not?
Yeah, one thing I think I would have wanted to know before I start was don't compare yourself to other people there. Genuinely do not compare yourself. I was the only undergrad, the only female. People I had to train were telling me, this is not how you do it. I'm like, I'm the trainer. How are you telling me how to do this? You know what I mean? But genuinely don't compare your path to other people. Don't compare like how you're doing things to other people, especially if they've been working into the company. They're not expecting you to know everything. They're not expecting you to come up with all of these fancy ideas. You're there to learn. So just enjoy your time, have fun, and take whatever you can take. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks so much, Sophia. So we're supposed to be done at 7:30. There's about 5 more people to go on the panel. So if you guys want to stay, you're welcome to stay. We'll still be recording for you, and we can still send that out. But yeah, so I can welcome Gaurav next.
Yeah, hi, my name is Gaurav Joshi. I'm from India. So a little bit about my journey as an international student. So my journey was quite an eventful one, because when I landed in the US, my port of entry was New York, and suddenly the lifestyle that I had observed in movies, what they showed about the US, I started to experience that. When I reached the campus, I was lucky to get a good on-campus job. I really enjoyed working with really smart students over here. I enjoyed hanging out with a lot of international students. I feel lucky to have that experience, because many of my friends who are studying in other universities don't get an opportunity to meet so many international students. My major is aerospace engineering, and I'm currently in my last semester. Talking about my internship, so my internship story is similar to Soumedh's one, because I took a course called as hybrid and electric vehicles, and the professor really liked my work in the class. So he said that me, along with one other student, should work for Tesla or Rivian. So he referred us to the company, and then based on my resume, I got a call, and then I started preparing for the interview. So one thing that really helped me stand out in my interview process was the projects that we did in the class. So it was a modeling and simulation of a Tesla Model S, and Rivian is a company which is similar to Tesla. It's just that it makes different products. For instance, Tesla makes luxury sedans, but Rivian makes electric pickup trucks, but it's similar. I did 2 internships. The first one was in spring 2020, and then the internship experience was a wonderful one because it was in Michigan. I enjoyed staying in the snow, and uh, we were told that out of 5,000 applications, only 15 of us were selected. So it felt really good that all the hard work that was put into building a profile was paying off. Uh, like Sofia said, not comparing oneself to others, I could see that there's a lot of smart people out there, and there's always more to learn from each one of them. Uh, I started working as a controls intern because my major is in dynamics and controls. The task that was given to me was modeling and simulation of the powertrain of the vehicle and calculating energy consumption and range of the vehicle. So if you are aware, in the electric vehicle industry, there's a lot of competition with regards to who can have the longest range of the vehicle. So I was lucky enough to get a project to work on that. Uh, I also I was lucky to have 2 mentors who helped me at different levels in the internship program. And then based on my good performance, they also offered me a summer internship. So and by that time COVID had hit, and then I felt again blessed to have another internship uh, when I was getting to hear from people that they are losing their jobs. So when I was in the internship, I also tried helping a lot of people. I gave them referral. Some of them also got interview calls. I'm not sure if they got the job, but at least I could help them a little bit. My second internship was really a good experience because uh, it was a lot of coding tasks. I enjoy coding. And then I was happy to get a full-time. Okay, I see a message from Tommy. So yeah, I was happy to get a full-time offer from them. So it's Rivian has an internship program in which if you perform really well, they convert you to a full-time employee. So I'm happy to have a full-time offer from them before I graduate. Something you wish you knew before getting intern. So I wish I had focused more on my presentation skills and Microsoft Excel skills, because it's not that I did not work on it, but I just focused on like core technical skills like coding, modeling, and simulation, etc. So I believe that presentation skills are equally important. So an advice that I would like to give to all international students is that not to rely on just one avenue. For instance, I know a lot of people just rely on applying to hundreds of companies, not hundreds because there's not so many that would hire international, but like as many companies as possible. I mean, I've literally seen people applying to any open position. So I would recommend not relying on just one way. So applying is one way, and then reaching out to recruiters via LinkedIn is one way. Then third is asking professors that they worked with for a referral, and then sending cold emails to recruiters and then hiring managers. Yeah, so that is one advice that I would give. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you so much, Gaurav.
Sure.
Yeah, so I know you guys want a little break from engineering, so we can welcome Raphael right now. Thank you, Raphael.
Hello. So my name is Rafael Dubena. I'm from Brazil. I came to Riddle right after graduating from high school. Got all my pilot's licenses. It was my dream to be a pilot. And I got the degree actually in air traffic management. So I did all of the air traffic control labs up in the 3rd floor of the CLA just because it looked cool. So got that degree. And then I got a job right after graduating, about 6 months after graduating, with LATAM Airlines in Brazil. So I was a pilot for Airbus A319, 20, and 21 for almost 2 years. And then, you know, with the coronavirus, they laid off a bunch of pilots, and then me, along with a couple hundred pilots, lost our jobs. So then I'm back at Riddle to do my master's degree, doing currently the MSA. And then I would say basically how I got that job was just having the degree from Embry-Riddle is, especially in another country, is something that they look highly at. So Embry-Riddle has the name of a very good institution, so having that is a good thing already. And also just doing things that are, you know, of course, having good grades and stuff, but doing stuff that's extracurricular. Like I did a couple things like being ISBC treasurer and head of mentors. I was also involved with the Travelers Club. We organized a trip to Brazil. My senior class student council committee, and then also worked as a part-time ground instructor at the tutor lab. So all these things, you know, it helps when you do stuff that's extracurricular and not really expected of you, I'd say. And something I wish I would have known was that coronavirus pandemic would have hit us. So I guess that would have been nice for all of us to know. But even if I had known, I mean, I guess it was a good experience to go back to Brazil, get some, you know, jet time, and then come back as a master's. It sort of gives you a revamp of your energy to go back to studying. And then anything that can be helpful, I would say, is just getting out of your comfort zone mainly. Like, it's more comfortable to just sit on your couch and maybe do nothing, but, you know, getting out and doing stuff, getting involved with people, meeting people, it's really helpful, as well as just like asking and applying. You know, it's the worst that can happen is you get a no for an answer, but there's always the chance. So just, that's my advice, I guess.
Thank you so much, Rafael. I'll give it to Ademola next.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. My name is Ademola. I used to be a master's student at Embry-Riddle. I started off in spring 2017 and graduated in fall of 2018. My journey with Riddle has been, you know, quite an interesting one, and it also came with its challenges. But in the long run, it was really, really smooth, I must say. While I was basically in my first semester, I was able to land an internship with Cummins, and I did that for 2 summers, and that got converted to a full-time position, which is what I'm actually working on now. Let me see, what made me get hired? I'll say the main thing that made me get hired was the fact that I was pretty much well prepared, and I was able to demonstrate that my skills were actually very, very transferable to what Cummins did. In case you don't know Cummins, they're basically a diesel engine company, and I'm an aerospace major. So, you know, just looking at that from the outside, it's really easy to think you wouldn't be a really good fit there. But, you know, based on my interview and the conversations I had with the hiring managers, we're basically able to see that, okay, there are a lot of skills I had that they really needed. So that was, you know, what really helped me with my opportunity. Something I wish I knew before I got my internship, I'll probably say networking and the power of soft skills, because typically there's like a whole bunch of people that could do all the things we do as engineers, right? So one of the few things that'll definitely help you with standing out is, how you approach issues, how you communicate, and it's a really important thing these employers look for, and those are probably things they kind of use to filter people when they're giving you your behavioral interviews. So it's really important, and it's something you're definitely going to come across while you're working as well. So key advice for people, you guys looking for to get into the industry, to get an internship or something like that, I'll definitely say keep connections. They're very important. You never know who would, get to help you get the next position you had. And to be honest, even for my case, I got this job at NESB in one of the conferences, and I really didn't know who Cummins was, but I was lucky enough to have a friend that knew about Cummins, and he told me they sponsor international students, and that was all I needed to know before I, walked up to the queue and, threw in my resume there. So yeah, have friends, make friends everywhere, keep networks is really important. Next thing I'll say is ask questions, especially if you're an entry level or an intern. I think a couple of other people have mentioned this in the past. No one expects you to be an expert or know anything, so ask as much questions as you possibly can, even if you think it's stupid. Still feel free to ask. It will, always help you in the long run. Next is as far as getting hired is concerned, make sure your resume is a little result oriented, because those are one of the few things that will make you stand out, and not a lot of people do. So it will be good whatever you do, even if you like volunteering or you're heading maybe a association or something. When you document, when you're writing what you've actually been doing in your resume, try to tie it with some results, and maybe show how by what percentage you improved something you guys have been doing, and things like that. It's really helpful. The last but not the least is you should be okay with broadening your scope, and also changing your directions when needed. Don't be completely one track minded. So that's all I have for you guys.
Thank you so much, Ademola. Next we'll have Pedro.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is going to be quite something, so bear with me. So before I start, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn. If anybody wants to connect with me, feel free. I can help you polish up your LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So in terms of my journey, I'll tell you my story. So when I did aerospace engineering at Riddle. So I did my bachelor's there. And when I was graduating in 2018, I was looking for a job, and I was looking. While I was still in my last semester, I got a job offer, and it was canceled because I wasn't a US citizen. After I graduated, like a couple of months after I was on the OPT grace period, I got a second job offer. It was canceled because I wasn't even a US resident. So I was like, I got pretty angry, and I know that there are a lot of emotions, especially in the international community, that we feel that we're not appreciated. And, they say that, but who knows if it's automated. And the problem is that people rely too much on applying online, and you don't know if that company has like an algorithm that automatically trashes your application like 3 days later, just because you click yes, I need sponsorship. Because one time I applied to recently a company, and it said yes, your application saw human eyes, but my application was rejected at 3:18 a.m. on a Sunday. And I'm like, you've got to be really committed to be rejecting applications at 3:18 a.m. on a Sunday. So, you can't lie either. So, since I couldn't find a job, both my full-time offers were rejected. I went into the master's. first semester of master's, I was talking with a colleague, and he's international too. And he said like, yeah, you know, I'm looking for an internship or something. And he told me, oh, you'll never get it. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. And that just kept hitting with me. Like he was like so negative. He was like, it's impossible. Yes, it's hard. It's hard. And you might be, like they said before, you might be doing the right things, but it still sometimes doesn't converge. It's especially hard for us. So he told me it's impossible. It's impossible. And that day I resolved, I was like, I'm going to get an internship in this country, right? I was like committed. And guess what? I didn't get 1 or 2 internships. I got 3. First master semester. And I got 3 in a line, right before the pandemic hit. 3. Okay. So you can't tell me that it's impossible, because I will do it. And you know that a lot of people think of, okay, how can I maximize my return for a minimum effort? Forget that kind of thinking. You got to think, you know, energy and effort is not a resource that you're going to run out of. So don't be afraid of, you know, putting in a lot of time on LinkedIn, put in a lot of time to polishing yourself up. You know, really, there's no limit. Just, you know, work on yourself. You have the energy. Don't start thinking of how can I do less? Think, how can I do more? And the reason I got my internships, it wasn't applying. I had applied online, but after you apply online, write down the rec number and bring it to them like when you see them in person. I was fortunately, before the pandemic, I went to a really big convention. So there weren't many students running around. It was called the NBAA, right? So a lot of people are there to secure deals for aircraft, and you get to interact with a lot of, you know, sometimes even the CEO is there. You get to talk to them, like very casually. And you're like, hey, look, I'm looking for this. You give them your card. So I networked with over half of the company before I was able to get into my first internship here in the US. I networked with everybody. I was so committed that I was driving 4 hours every couple of months just to give them an updated resume and portfolio. They didn't ask for it. I was driving there. I went to the reception, gave it to the receptionist and said, hey, I applied online for the internship. Here's my stuff. You know, you have to stand out, and they will not ignore your effort after you put in so much effort. So I guess my advice would be, you know, don't listen to all the chatter. There's a lot of chatter, but definitely spend some time on LinkedIn. You can easily look at the companies that you want to work in, network with a lot of people, and don't be afraid of small companies, because a lot of people make the mistake. Like if you're looking at a company of over 1,000 people, the likelihood of you getting sponsored is not very good. So, and also my other advice is make friends that have different areas of specialization. The reason I say that is because, you know, you have friends that are in companies, right? But they're not directly competing with you. So they might not feel like you're going to get in and they're going to lose their job by helping you. So it's psychological, but, you know, if you have a friend in electrical, you know, you're not competing with them. So they can give you the scoop, they can recommend you and stuff. So that way they feel, you know, that you're not going to like, you know, get hired and then they're going to leave, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, definitely make friends with people in other specializations, and you know, be open sometimes to an entirely different route. My second internship with, so I was with Piper, and then Nextant Aerospace, and then Piper again. And I was always doing structures, design, analysis. So the second internship, I couldn't have planned it. I was at the Career Expo at Riddle. It's the best, the best. I was just walking by. This gentleman started talking to me, and I saw, Constant Aviation. I thought, aviation, I'm an engineer. They probably do piloting things. So I was just continuing the conversation because of manners. I was like, I'm not gonna walk away. You know, I had no idea. We started talking, then we found some common points. Oh, you do engineering. Oh, cool. I gave them my resume, and they're like, yeah, we're going to the AIAA conference, the NBAA conference. I was like, I'm also going there. I'll see you there. So I saw them there again, and I got to meet more of the team. And then I told them like, yeah, I'm going to Cleveland for a conference. And they're like, no way, we're based out of Cleveland. And I was like, you know, what more? Like sometimes seek the narrow door. Like sometimes a lot of people go to conferences, but you know, that time that I went to that conference, I didn't get anything in that conference. But while I was there, I got an Uber and I went down to the airport and I talked to these people. I met the rest of the team. That's how I got my internship. So don't be afraid of smaller companies. Don't be afraid of, networking with a lot of people. Sometimes it takes 1,000 times that you will just message someone on LinkedIn and maybe you'll hit something. Also, don't be afraid to look in other. For example, some companies have multi. Uh, um, they're based in other countries as well. So like GE, Cummins, they're very multinational. So maybe you might not be able to be a good fit for a position in Textron here, but they're also in like 5 different other countries. You could and might have a better chance because some here right now there's a lot of talk that they might change things, but who knows what will happen. Plan on what actually is. Look at the laws of other countries. Canada is very open. Germany, all you need is a job offer and your degree. And if they give you more than a certain salary, you're in. 2 years later, you have to pass a language test if you want to stay there indefinitely. But look at, this is not the only country in the world that has industry. And coming from me, I come from El Salvador. We have 2 paved runways in the whole country. Riddle in this campus owns more airplanes than are registered in my whole country. Like I have nothing to go back to. So it's do or die for me right now. So I'm like on my last 3 months of masters looking like crazy, still don't have anything. I have a lot of talks, a lot of people that have me on pending, that are waiting. Some say it's too soon, but just be patient, consider our other options. If you have free time, learn a new language. Sometimes that alone can open the doors in a different country. So just consider that. There are some other first world countries that have an easier entry. They're like, oh, they're experts in stealing talent, and you are very highly priced. So don't feel right now just because you haven't had a single internship that you're not worth anything, because that's a lie. Like you are very intelligent, and sometimes you just have to be open to the possibility of going somewhere you might spark the interest of someone else. So don't worry, like in the right place, you will be appreciated. That's a lesson I've learned. I'm sorry for the long rant, but it was a lot. I wanted to get that off my heart.
No, thank you so much, Pedro. I really, really appreciate it.
I had a question for Pedro.
Yeah,
sure.
Go ahead.
So, Pedro, could you tell me how did you survive the times when, before you got your first internship? Because I know you worked hard, but how did you keep how do you keep the energy high until you get something?
Very good question. It's very easy to fall into the rut of, why am I even trying? I don't even have the legal right to stay, much less work here. I'm looking at, and it's very hard to not be jealous of, our American peers that very easily roll off into NASA, Lockheed, Boeing, and all they had to do is shoot a resume and that's it. It's very hard, but you got to think of what you want, and if you want it true enough. And when I was driving myself, because I was driving to Vero Beach every now and then to drop off an unsolicited resume to the secretary, and while I was doing that, I was like, I was full on committed. I was listening to an audiobook of this guy called, I don't know if you heard it, Grant Cardone, and the name of the book is called the 10X Rule. And that rule basically says, think of the effort, calculate the effort that you need to achieve a goal, multiply it by 10, and then maybe you might get something. So think of the goal, think of what it takes, and then multiply it by 10. And he tells you like his life story, and it has been very tragic, but now he's like super wealthy, and he's incredible. Like he has a life story. I'm gonna write it down. I was listening to it while I was driving myself down 4 hours.
Yeah,
4 hours.
That's a good answer. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Pedro. We'll have Vijay now.
Hey, hi guys. My name is Vijay. I'm from India. So I graduated from EMBRY-RIDDLE in December 2017 with Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering. Well, coming from India, having bachelor's, and coming to US was something very different. Like, you never been experienced to different personalities. You see various personalities and you get exposed to various cultures. So it took me like almost 2 years to understand what happened here, like, how you do job search, because I didn't have any experience back in India, zero experience. On my resume, I can only show academics experience. And companies, they do care academics experience if you have the right skills. But if you do not have any industrial experience, they never want to, like, see your resume. So how do I showcase my resume to them? Uh, well, it was really very hard time for me. Have been to many career fairs like, NSB, SWE, and AAA, and aviation expos like MRO, and also like uh, NBAA. Every time I go there, like, I hand over my resume, I speak to people. I don't even know what companies they are, but I try to do search about the company. If I don't find, I just go and speak to random people. I introduce myself. Hey, this is Vijay, and this is what I'm doing currently. And I'm currently looking for opportunities and what you guys do. I get to know first what do they do and share my resume to them. Like many people, like they hesitate to take resumes, but don't give up. Like just try on. So what I do is, like, personally, I ask them their email address. If they don't give email address, I ask them for business card. If they don't give anything, like, I just ask them for their full name so that I can connect with them in LinkedIn. Because the moment you meet with someone, it's very important to make contact. If you don't make contact, it's really a waste of your time, like, spending with that person that day. So after completing masters, like, I have no clue what I'm doing in US. I did not have any experience. I'm done with masters, done with bachelors. I'm overqualified for entry level positions. That's what people said to me. So I've been to MRO that was held in Orlando. That is not a career expo. It is just like maintenance and repair overall for aviation, like exposing company products. So I went over there. I was working over there. First one, it was held for 2 days in Orlando. So I went to each and every booth just to know what they do, what companies are in Florida or everywhere. They're like small scale companies, medium scale companies, large scale companies. I went first day over there, morning 8 to evening 6. I've met everyone over there, every booth. I try to speak to them, get contact, get business cards. Nothing worked out. Not even like, they don't even like to speak to you because they came for something else. They didn't come for a career fair there. Same thing. I went next day to Orlando because I don't want to give up. Something is happening for free. I want to try. Go and try. Like, no harm in trying. I went over there. So my favorite color is orange. So I saw a company with both orange color. It's called Rivian Aerospace. I went over there. So I spoke to a person. So unfortunately or coincidentally, the person is an alum of EMBRY-RIDDLE, and he is the engineering manager. I told him, like, hey, I really don't know what you guys do, but I like, this is my favorite color and I'm here. I want to speak to you about what you guys do. I told him, like, hey, this is my experience. I graduated with masters. These are my academic skills. I used to carry portfolio so I could show them my skills. It's very hard to hold that person 25 minutes because he was not for career fair. I took his time. I showed him what I could do. Then he gave me his business card. So like that, I met almost like 40 to 50 people. Not even anyone from engineering. Very few people from engineering. Everyone is from regional sales manager, various domains. So after a week, I went back. I sent each and everyone follow-up email, like sent my resume, sent my portfolio. I explained them, hey, I met you guys in this career fair. I've been to your company website. This is the position I found. I'm very much interested, like, to explore with you guys, like, give me a chance for an introductory call. I can showcase my skills. And if I don't find any position, I was just passing my resume, letting them know to consider for future open positions for any internship or any open job. I can also work as a freelancer because I want to first establish industrial experience. So after sending 60 people, only 2 people responded for my email, and 2 people called me for interview, and 2 people offered me job. That was an incredible experience to me. And I went to Didion, this engineering manager, because being me an alum, he didn't have any position, but he created a position for me for summer internship. And yeah, they never hired internationals before, but he hired me and he gave me 3 months internship. Then later on, he extended my internship because I already graduated. Then he promised me for full time. Unfortunately, things did not work out because they saw, oh, we have to sponsor your visa. We cannot offer for it, Vijay. But you know what? I gave you experience. Go and explore now. So again, I went back to all my networking business cards. I emailed each and every one. I've been to many career fairs. The only thing what I feel is like, when you go somewhere, you find some business card, you get their contact, anything, follow up. If you don't follow up, you don't succeed for sure, because no one cares. You are the one who cares for your job. So follow up. So I sent follow-up emails again. Well, this time, same thing, like, same repetitive process. So current company called MSA Aircraft Products. This is a very small scale company. There are only 7 employees, and they never had internationals. They don't know what is CPT, OPT, what is STEM, what is H1B. So I explained to him, hey, this is what CPT is, a very easy process, and the company was not E-verified. I told him how easy to make E-verified, what is the process for H1B. I made the company E-verified for me. I spoke to manager. Then I was able to get sponsorship because I was able to explain him what is required, because you should be able to tell them. They're willing to do things, but you should be able to explain them, because company thinks like, oh, sponsorship, we cannot do that. But I explained him. In my first attempt, I got my H1B. I'm very very happy. I'm working as a design engineer in this company, and we develop aircraft interiors for private jets. And this is what I want to work. I'm really happy with what I got. It's all about like, my luck, how it worked out, and follow up. You should be very persistent when you want something. That is what I say. And also, like, many people say, like, we connect with people on LinkedIn and no one responds. They say, yes, because they get a lot of tons of messages, tons of emails, tons of connections. They cannot respond to each and every one. It's your turn. Like, you send a message. If you don't respond, send a message after a week. Don't respond, send a message after a week. I bet 4th or 5th time they would respond, because they feel bad that they didn't respond. They would respond to you. Never give up. Like, just show you're interested. But when you make a connection, make sure you know what company it is, what open positions they have, and be very precise. You have to provide all the information they require. You cannot ask them like, hey, consider me for any open position. If you do that, it just shows like, you're just throwing a stone, which is not helpful. So make sure you follow up. It's your responsibility. Be very persistent. That is what I can say. And few things what I would like to share you guys is like, I felt like, if I have known before. So there is a website called myvisajobs.com. So if you search over there, I'll type in the chat. So if you search over there, any company, small scale company or medium scale company, large scale company, every company whoever sponsored so far in last all previous years, 20 years, you can see the data. If the company has sponsored, you could like, tell them, yes, I'm looking for open position and this is an open position. I do need sponsorship. Never say no, because you think you say no so that they can help you viewing an opportunity. It's not going to work out, because Rivian, after 5 months of internship, they said like they cannot do it because they didn't know what is my background. So never say no for this. Be very precise, be very clear, let them know what it is, what is sponsorship. They would be willing to help you. And when you apply for any open positions, optimize your resume. Like, use apps called JobScanCo, where you can optimize your resume with the job duties. And you should be able to find what is the percentage of matching. Use keywords, be very precise. And during interviews, focus on what you did, not what your team did, because no one cares what your team did. They only care what you did. So be very precise what to tell them. And make sure there are no mistakes in resume, because at the moment they see one small mistake, they discard the resume, because it shows that you're not caring about your resume. You're not showcasing your skills. And always like, if you think like you have any problem in communicating or cracking interview, find a career coach. There are a lot of career coach online who can help you, even though it is paid service, but they can help you out to crack an interview, to establish a connection. They tell you what is important, what to speak, what not to speak. And final thing is networking. Guys, networking is a key parameter always. You never know whom you find who will help you out. I never know. I would start my career. It was very hard for me to start my career. It took me 2.5 years to start first internship after masters. After masters, I got a job after 6 months. It was very hard, but I was able to make it. Now I'm doing full-time job. I'm very happy. So yeah, anyone need any help, you can contact me always on LinkedIn. I'm very open to help you guys. Whatever I can do from my side. Yes, I say good luck to everyone for upcoming career fair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Someone asked for your email contact information in the group chat. So if you would like to share that with them, you can go ahead. So that's all the panelists we have. I just want to say one thing, as international students, it is 10 times harder for us to get opportunities. And it is so easy to just not be motivated anymore. Like, we try so hard, we have good grades, we have experience, but it's just so difficult to keep that positive energy. One thing I would say to just keep something in mind is just don't be afraid to talk to people, and don't be afraid to talk to everyone. It doesn't matter if they're, not an engineer, or, they're in business, they're a pilot. Don't be afraid, because you don't know who has the connections that they have. So just think about it, just like, okay, yeah, I have time, I can talk to you, like, let's just do it. What's the worst that can happen? And with, honestly, with that mindset, it'll take you so far into just learning more. The worst that can happen is just that you lose 10 minutes of your time, and you can, learn so much more information than you had previously. So definitely keep networking, try to keep that positive energy. Have a mentor, like, find a professor that you really like, whose class that you really enjoy, reach out to them, talk to them. They want to see you grow, and they can connect you as well. So keep that in mind. If you guys have any questions, please put it on the chat. You can contact Daniela. She put her email there. Do we have any more questions before we end the Zoom chat? Okay, all right. And Daniela just put her email there for you to email for the recording of the session. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for coming. This was great. I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of Friday night to do this. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It went well.
Do you guys have any questions?
I think Pedro Martinez, part of ISPC. Pedro, do you have any questions?
No, I just wanted to add, yeah, so if anyone wants like help with LinkedIn, don't like add me, send me a message, because I think I can offer some valuable insight. I know
You definitely do. Thank you so much, Pedro.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
So good. Thank you so much.
So
Would we be
positive too, you know?
What?
It was so positive.
It was.
Everybody like so open up, like
yeah.
It went really well than I thought it would go.
Hey, it was good. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was so happy to turn out. Yeah, that's real. Because like I feel like international. Because like actually like we go through a lot at being an international student, like changing cultures, language, and I'm like.
I didn't even know what Canvas was. I didn't know what Canvas was.
I didn't even know like the homework get graded.
I'm just gonna leave that there.
What?
I didn't know what a GPA was till like my second.
I didn't know we had a school email. I came here and learned about our school email. So everything that they were sending, I didn't even know what they were sending, Like I had everything there. Yeah. Gosh, it was so nice to hear about other people's experiences, because I was like, because I felt so dumb. I was like, dude.
I thought you were in the panel too?
I was like, I mean, everyone talked about Delta. It was basically the same thing, but I just wanted to say what I said in the last time. just to keep positive, and that was really it. Keep positive, keep networking, and don't be afraid to talk to people. That was really my takeaways from everything, and that's exactly how I, got my internship. So yeah. Yeah, but yeah, Pedro, would it be possible when we send out the emails to everyone that requested it to send your LinkedIn information as well?
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just added you, so you probably will see me on there.
Okay.
Yeah, if
Okay.
anyone needs help with LinkedIn, like I've seen very impressive LinkedIn profiles, and let me tell you, it's powerful, especially like when you can't meet with people in person, or when you're dealing with a international entity as well.
Yeah.
That's how they find you.
Yeah, we're going
We
to
almost
have to
had
do.
so many people.
Yeah, so yeah, 68, I think. So that's good.
It went out to 69 once. We can round it up.
We had a lot of people. I was like,
yeah, that was very successful, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm gonna end the call now. Bye. Thank you so much, Pedro. Thanks for coming,
Thank
Marta.
you.
Bye.
Hi, guys.